Good evening, everybody.
Evening.
Environmental meeting, as you're aware. We're going to have 15 minutes of questions made available. There's question time at the moment. Have we got any apologies for absence at the moment? All the staff.
None, Chair.
Right, okay, so everybody's attending from what I believe. Anybody got any disclosures of interest? I can tell you now that I haven't got one. Right. Minutes of the previous meeting. I've got those.
These are already in the Chair.
Been agreed, have the right, so fine, yeah. Yeah, right. Absence arising from the previous meeting on now.
Sorry, we've got anything further going to that.
Yeah,
Oh, yes, question.
we'll go to question time now, yeah. Right, so we'll address questions now. So has anybody got any questions I'd like to present to the environment committee? Yes, your name is
Sarah Hamilton.
Sarah Hamilton. Sarah, sorry. So what's your question, Sarah?
It was just in regards to the allotment fires being allowed to carry out 365. I'm a resident of Northern Close, which backs directly on to the allotments, in the continuation of the fires 365 would always kind of concerns for allowing airing of washing to be out when fires are obviously continued. The smell that's in the house, and I just was obviously wondering if there was obviously other town councils have opposed the limit where throughout the summer no fires, and I was just wondering if that then could be reviewed for the residents' kind of perspective to have a reprieve and a break from allotment fires. I do understand about wildfire, PR fires, black smoke do pose health hazards, but all fires pose health hazards, and I was just wondering if obviously that could be reviewed and kind of not for even 65 days of the year.
Okay. Right, well, it is under consultation at the moment. I think Dave Clough would be in a position where he's here, but could provide us with a little bit more information about that, Dave, because you've been taking information.
Well, we've been doing a monitoring sheet, and obviously the report's done for the full council. Is the full council of the next environment committee?
If I can just add, Sarah, when the council brought in the fact it could burn them during the summer months, it was on a trial period, and that commenced 1st of April. So it ends on 30th of September. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the reports and any complaints and the number of occasions that we're aware of, complaints. We're going to bring that back to the full council, and they'll make a decision on whether to go back to the original plan where it was a limited few months over the winter period or the full year. But that'll be discussed on the 16th of October. As I say, we're just building up all of the events and what have you leading up to the 30th of September.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Anybody else got any questions? Okay then, right. So we can continue with our agenda. We've covered 3. No further action at the moment. Right, so is anything that we need to bring up on that?
No, there's nothing arising from the previous minutes.
Okay. Yeah. Is there anything we need to make anyone aware of? You think? It's more.
From our point of view, if you look at code 7013, we've got a budget in there for capital projects and allotments. We haven't determined if indeed we need to do any kind of replacement water system there. There's nothing being done on that yet. The tree watering budget, 8,004. There is an underspend on that at the moment of £3,000. We're over the summer periods now, so it looks as though there'll be saving on that. Contingency for the partnership, 48,005. We put 35,000 in there as a link between the old agreement with the county council and the new one. The partnership board meets, and at the moment we're still working through on potential projects for that. So we'll be able to possibly tell the next environmental committee where we are on that. I think that's all I've got to say, unless people have got individual questions on any of the codes or aspects.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Just looking at two under the environment town, 971, which is the bush shelters, and 2008, which is BCTV. Obviously, the bush shelters, it says that we've used less, we're in a minus figure. Obviously, I see it says new. Is that budget only for new bush shelters and we've received some sort of refund, or that figure is a little confusing? And then the CCTV one, obviously, we've already spent over the budget. So can you just let us know what that's actually been spent on? Is it new CCTV? Thank you.
Thank you. Bush shelters, they're all for brand new ones. So that will get us 11,000, will get us towards 2 bush shelters. That's what we've built into the programme. But as the committee may recall, we have put in a funding bid to the county council for over £100,000 to try to get funding into the authority where we can get a lot more new bush shelters to replace the old stock. The reason there's a £457 credit in there, when we do our accounts, there are sometimes towards the end of the financial year where we get something installed. Because it's been installed, because of our accounting arrangements, we've got to pay for it. But if we don't get the bill till the end of April, when we come to do the accounts, we've got to put the best estimate we can in for that particular bush shelter. So we might have estimated that it costs £5,457 to put a bush shelter. So that £5,457 will appear in the 24-25 accounts. What happened was, when we come to pay the bill in this financial year, it was £457 cheaper, and that's how we've got a credit. So it's an accounting arrangement for this type of authority. On the other one, on the face of it, it does look as though we're only partway through the year and we haven't overspent. The way that the O2, the network company, do their invoices, they charge us a large gross amount and then we get a credit in. So what you've got to do is you've really got to look at 9008 compared with code 2575, and you'll see that nets off, because we've got expenditure on one page and we've got income on the next. So the two figures net off to £2,500. So that's the position we are at the minute. £257.
It starts at 7,000, so not.
Yeah, sorry, 2575 is the amount, it's code 9015. If you look out over the other page, Karen.
Yeah, got it.
So if you net those two off, it comes to 2,600. And if you compare that to the 4-1.
Got it. Thank you.
Brian, yeah.
Yeah, I was just looking at actual drive tree pump with the areas, 1375. What was that for?
A lot of these amounts of money that you'll see against the play areas are for repairs. And that essentially has been, some vandalism over the last few months of that particular play park. We've had to replace seats or whatever.
Is it, I don't know, I mean, what I was gonna ask is that the bike rack that's been, installed or not?
No,
No, like,
no,
I
this
wanted to
is
wait this.
purely repairs and maintenance.
So I understand, I know it's restricted, but I didn't know if there was repairs stuff, I wasn't aware of that. Mr. Clough, do you know, could you shed some light on that?
So repairs that was done around the slide,
What's up?
where it's got the concrete out.
Yes, he's right, okay. I appreciate that, thank you very much.
Cast first. and then second.
And just about the Blythe and Bloom one, and I agree down, will that just stay in to the budget for next year, because we haven't had one this year. It's 900, 9012,
No, I mean, any underspends go back into balances.
right, and that will be rebudgeted for next year. We'll keep an eye on it. Thank
That's
you.
not-
Right, sorry, Dan, I think Dave's next, Dave's no.
Yeah, under environment in town, 9007 speed indicator devices. Is that paid by, Northumberland County Council?
No, all the speed indicator devices that you see are ours. That's a code that we include. We haven't budgeted for any more speed indicator devices. At the moment, I think we've got enough in the town because we can move them around, so. It's just a code carried on from previous years.
And
Just interested, Chair, if there's any plans for 7013, the allotment capital, just to see if there's any plans in the work to spend it.
no doubt it will be, in the coming few months. At this moment in time, I'm not aware of any, are you, Martin?
No, at the moment, we've got some small things to do, tap systems and things like that, but nothing of a major thing. But the thing is, you don't know what's around the corner. Like, last year at Wensleydale, we had a massive water leak and it ended up we had to replace basically a whole lot. So it's a contingency for emergency works and all sorts of
Oh,
plans that we've got for improving it.
Just making sure, just as long as what we haven't said that.
Are there any other questions over the increment venture? So can we move on to the next item then? Yeah, so we've got, I think, Dave, can you, give some information about the defibrillator?
We received requests from residents for the defibrillator to be put in at both lines. At the time, obviously the estate's not adopted, so we can't use NCC, and we've made inroads with the developer who's requested that we should cover the cost of the installation. That's the come through the road and the path. Obviously, cost of Lycan Council, £5,170, and then the defibrillator on top's £3,500. Whether we want to commit to it.
I think it's very important. It's a big estate, and I think, yes, it's sad that it's coming down to the council to have to maintain it. Those developers make an absolute fortune from building all these estates. They don't even now put a facility in for a shop or anything like they did in the past. They just build the houses, sell them, and take the profits. And in this day and age, I think it's so important. I know we had a reason to use one night and had to use the one at the marketplace, and it did save his life. And it brings it home to you how important it is. But I agree, we need it. And it should be on every new development. Those should be on every new housing development, rather than, coming to the local council and saying, will you maintain it, and, the ongoing costs. I would put, the emphasis should be put upon the developers to install them and maintain them for however long, and it shouldn't be coming back to small town councils when there's something that can save somebody's life, how important that is. I agree that we should have it, and I hope, you know, that it is, but something to look at again in planning when they come back looking for planning applications.
Yeah, Denise.
Usually when you see defibrillators in a place, they're normally planned to be in a high footfall area. You know, so the older estates, like you say, the shops and everything, and then you've got a defibrillator. These brand new estates, they don't have all these shops, and you could be streets away from a defibrillator. And one of the concerns is it could actually cause a death if someone on the estate wasn't properly educated and they thought, oh, quick, I need the defibrillator, and they were running across 2 streets or whatever to get the defibrillator, and the patient isn't getting CPR immediately. I've spoke to a couple of medical people about this, and they have said it is a concern. It's a good thing to have, but if the public are not educated on CPR is the most important thing, that first, not the defibrillator. Somebody else goes off and gets a defibrillator. Also, looking at the costs of it, we would probably have to re-look at the budget for next year, because already I've had an ask for the big Crompton estate for a defibrillator. And then where does it sort of end? So I put in a motion that if we are going to start considering that town council is going to fund these defibrillators in these estates, that there is a policy put in place that, you know, obviously to be discussed at another meeting, that if it's not a high footfall area, it needs to be a certain criteria. Like, for example, the Portland Wind Estate, if you said, all right, there's one down at the beach, you know, one at Newsham, sorry, it's South Beach where the pub is. If somebody could quickly go in the car, get that defibrillator while somebody's doing CPR. Well, it's not that easy, because they can't go out of the estate via the Newsham because it's one way. So they have to come on that Lavercourt Road, which is extremely busy. So it's not a quick thing, you know. So yes, they probably would need a defibrillator in that case, because they can't get in a car while somebody's doing CPR and go off and get the defibrillation.
If I may, I know if you dial 999 and this explain to the paramedics what's happening, they will tell you. You follow their instructions as to what to do, and you need a number to pin in, but to have access to the defibrillator. So it's, you know, and they guide you through it all the way until they get to the property.
Yeah.
I mean, that's only one thing.
But I do put the motion in that we should start having some form of policy on it, you know,
Yes.
for us to discuss at a later date, because like I say, I know I'm going to have to put in a similar thing because I've already had a request, and how many more states going to have to go request. I did ask earlier if it was possible we could have a look at where all of the defibrillators currently are, just so we can have an idea of what other estates may end up coming forward for these defibrillators. Because we will need that information if we are going to do the budget for next year. Because the pads alone, I think we've only got 900 on the budget for just the pads. And then we've got this contingency of 5,000. And how much is this defibrillator? 3,500 for that. And that's not for the pads.
Doesn't include the installation of your electric. Yeah, Brian.
Yeah, Chair, could we speak to the count? Or we're going to keep speaking?
We're just having a look to see where they were on those estates.
So this website is VibFinder, which is linked to the circuit. However, we've established that even the website that the circuit shares is not quite up to date. However, the ambulance service would have the correct data on which defibrillators were usable. These defibrillators are not just the town council defibrillators. Some of these are community access defibrillators at community premises as well. Some of our defibrillators are not even shown on here. We've got one at Ridley Park, one at the Dave Stevens Centre, and one at Brierley Road, which are not actually shown on here.
Does that need updated?
We have updated the circuit have not updated this website. The circuit have the information, they have access to the defibrillators. If there was an instance where
somebody was asked to go to a defibrillator, they would use those defibrillators. They just haven't updated this website. But of our defibrillators, I'm just going to refresh this one because we updated it. We actually have 7 defibrillators that are under the responsibility of the town council. One at the marketplace, Dave Stevens Centre, Ridley Park, police station downstairs, Delaval Street Newsham, Broadway Plainfield at the side of the pavilion, and on Briley Road at the Spa Shop.
Neptune not on there, Chair.
That's not one of ours. No. So
These
it's
are
not
just
on
our
the
standard.
website, but it's not.
Can we bring Brian in now, please?
Yeah. Yeah, could we not just, could we ask the county council like we've done, county councillor of that ward, like we've done in the past, part fund or funded, out of, you know, if we will get it on the,
With us no schemes.
yeah,
Yeah.
the £15,000 county council.
That's.
Yes, but
It's seen as a capital fund and
It's not just that funding though, that there's the additional costs.
I understand that, but we've done it before, but we've also done it before with the county councillors, tapped into the money to help with the funding. So I'm just saying if we can do that again. Who is the county councillor? Oh, Barry.
Well, I've got my hand up, I'm just waiting.
yeah,
to-
yeah, okay,
I'm
Barry.
just waiting to be done.
It's your turn now, thanks.
Caitlin.
I was
I've hand up a number of times.
Yes.
Is it? Okay, I've got a couple of questions, I guess. One, why isn't Miller contributing at all to the installation costs, I guess, because it isn't adopted by the county council. I know we've discussed this previously and we said the same thing, and I do agree it's needed. It is a big estate and it should be there, but I think we do run the risk of setting a precedent with it if Miller aren't even contributing. The other one is if we know more requests like this are coming, we've said, I know that there's one coming for Crafton Grange, we've got one coming for South Beach. It's only going to get more because it is a more prevalent discussion. Have we looked at any kind of grant funding towards this? Because I think there are things, there are like British Heart Foundation, that type of charity out there that can help with these kind of costs. And the third thing is, if we are, because it is such a prevalent discussion now, could we look into helping towards CPR training and certainly signposting people, if we can't put anything on ourselves, signposting residents to the right resources, so that we do, that more people are and not just relying on defibrillators like Denise said. Thanks.
Right, so, Ari,
Yeah, my opinion is that we should have one of these on every street corner, exaggerating, but specific to what they're trying to resolve, and yeah. There's a number of options, and Brian, you probably touch on one. If the people use them, want me to spend that 15 grand, I've got a meeting next week at the pavilion. And we'll ask them that, because I would prefer to ask what the people want rather than what we want, how they want to spend them. I think they wouldn't say yes, but I would start with Muller Homes has got a section 106 agreement in. And although we might have missed the boat with that 106 agreement, I think there's hundreds of thousands of pounds still sitting there. And we could go back, I know there's a mechanism to ask for a variation to the 106 agreement in that, if it's still valid, I haven't checked it. But I think that we should waste no time, because if it's a defibrillator needed, we don't want to delay matters, but I don't think it's fair that the developer should ask this council to pay it when there's a mechanism for one, them to pay it, two, a variation to the contract if there's any money left, and three, Brian, I would say yes, I will do that straight away.
I thought you would, that's why.
Yeah.
I knew you were the county councillor.
And I think because it's been resolved to us, we would be foolish not to expedite get it there, no matter what way, because it's a life-saving device.
yeah, I've just got like one reservation with it not being held by the county. It's not a Northumberland County Council property at the moment, so they might not allow that.
Correct.
I've already, spoken to, Malcolm about this, and the defibrillators that we supply require a main supply, don't they? But, I am aware that, up until, I think it's, February of next year, the British Heart Foundation are providing free defibrillators with boxes, and instructions on them. And I was wondering whether we could go down, because we don't have to have one with an electric supply, because they actually maintain them. And I was wondering whether that could be an option we could look at, rather than us having to spend the money, they could supply it themselves. Yes, Brian? Oh, sorry,
No, Natalie first.
It was not.
Kath first.
Yes, sorry.
Hold on a second.
Thank you, keep me right.
Actually, it was just, I wanted to second Denise's motion,
Uh-huh.
and Heart of Gold as well. Yeah, renovation do just that, and the supply free training as well, if you want to do CPR. Anything like life saving skills, that's, within the care sector, but we as members of the public can access that training for free.
Yes, but can we just hold back on that motion at this moment in time, please, Natalie? And we're just hearing a couple of opinions. Thank you very much. Yes.
Just regarding the grant funding, you can through the ambulance service, they give £500. They can give you £500 towards it. So it doesn't have to entirely come from the council. You can put money towards it. I would be asking the ambulance service that question because they were doing that.
Brian?
Well, yeah, it was, what you point out about the free defibs. Me and Mr. Clough, we had a conversation, and they weren't compatible with the pads we currently get. So it would be, then we're sourcing two different pads, that's why it wasn't looked at last year.
Yeah, but the British Heart Foundation do say that they will maintain them. That's part and parcel of what they will do. So we wouldn't really have to worry about them as long as we just give it them. If you want to put it in, put it in. I mean, we could look further into it. Get that?
Chair, can I just say, obviously all the defibrillators we've got are all the same model. All got the same parts in, all got the same batteries. Different specifications. They come with a different first aid kit, they come with different pads. Pads have a shelf life. Don't ask us why, they're sealed. But we've got to replenish them every 3 years. The batteries have got to be in a heated box. They've actually got a heating plate at the bottom, that's why you need a power supply, because the heating plate actually prolongs the life of the battery. Because once they start getting used, we can actually see the level that they're coming down over a period, and the batteries have to be replaced, if I'm right, like it's every 3 to 4 years. And if you've got different defibrillators, they're going to be buying different batteries, different parts. We've got them all on the circuit, and on the circuit, it tells you which machine's parts are changing and by what date. There's a fail safe.
I hear what you're saying, Dave, but the point I was making was British Heart Foundation supply and maintain them. Now, if they don't maintain them, I take on board what you're saying. But if there's if there's no maintenance, we obviously want to have continuity, because we've got to be able to maintain anything that's fitted. But if the British Heart Foundation say that they are going to supply, fit and maintain, there's no requirements for us to actually provide any maintenance for them, is there?
So they would come out and check them after they've been used. We wouldn't have to come out and check them.
That's the understanding. But we'd have to investigate it. But
Because under the circuit, we get a notification when one's been requested. Then we go out, we check them, and then we put them back online. So they're actually active again.
right.
Yeah, it's more or less just paraphrasing and reiterating the consensus of what I think the members think, Chair. But I think it's very cheeky for Miller to say, you put one in, BTC coverage, financial cost, up to what's going to be 5,000 for power, £3,500 for the box and the fib, and then God knows how much for the installation. We're looking at like £10,000.
Yeah.
And it's not even adopted estate. No.
Yeah.
My answer is no, Chair. I agree, actually, I like your idea of what Caitlin said, and Dave as well, about the British Heart Foundation. We should look into that. But I hear what you're saying as well, Dave, that we go out straight away once they are used within a day. Yeah, we need that clarity just to make sure that if we do go with VHS, to say that you guys go out on the same day. But I would probably strongly suggest we go with VHS and get with them and say, when do you go out once they use it? How quickly is it with 24 hours? And if they can cover a substantial cost, I would prefer to do that option rather than £10,000, and then it's their estate and we're not adopted it. But no. Thank you, Chair.
Like Caitlin says, you know, what I mean, developers get, you know what I mean, it's not, yeah. I think everybody should agree on that, so I think.
Yeah, is there anything you'd like to add, Martin?
It's just picking up on the two bits of, you know, what Daniel and a few others said about it. It's gonna cost £10,000. Miller Homes or any developer puts in a new estate will argue, as they have done, we've already paid enough out of our profits in a section 106 agreement which the county council have put in place before they could build the houses. So that's something which they can argue quite, you know, they've got a few points there to argue on. The second bit about, I mean, if the British Heart Foundation came in, I mean, that would be great. The bit about putting our own in and getting funding from the ambulance service, they have done offer funding. And on the very first defibrillator we got, which was in the marketplace, we did get funding to help us provide it. It is about £500, but the thing is, it's got to be in an area of deprivation. Now, they identify as the only area of deprivation in the town is the crossroad, you know, the centre of the town. And we wanted to put one in Ridley Park because we thought lots of visitors to Ridley Park, it's a benefit. They looked at the area that Ridley Park was in, and that isn't an area of deprivation. And it honestly was, it was the only place we could get the £500 for a marketplace. And definitely Paul and Wayne would not come into that category of getting any funding. Good idea, but you know, it wouldn't be worth it trying to contact them.
Thanks for sharing that, Malcolm. That's very helpful.
Yes,
I was just wondering if I'm last year, the enterprise centre, in fact, one of yours, or is it their own? But I know your wife paid for them to get that one in when she was county councillor. So I've just paid another £300 to them because it's going to cost them, I think it's 200 and something pounds for the battery and something for the, I can't remember how much it was for the pads. But if they had gone to the British Heart Foundation, it was going to cost at least another £100 more. But to get them in, but I'll get them put in, and I've donated the money from some of the funding. But I just wondered if they've got their own in, you know, I don't know how much it actually cost to put it in when they first put it in. I mean, Catherine, my wife got one in for the police station around the corner, and I don't know how much that was. Can you remember how much it was? I can't remember. But that's what we're doing in the first place, getting county council to, you know, pay the money towards them. But I don't know if anybody wants to do that again.
at the end of the day, it all boils down to how much is the life worth, isn't it? But and again, how much do we have to commit ourselves to unnecessarily? And we've got to try and sort of like get the balance right. So Denise put forward a motion. Would you like to repeat that, please, Denise?
I'd just like to put forward a motion that if the Ryan Town Council is to go ahead and start funding the defibrillators, and that a policy is put in place. And I understand we don't currently have a policy for it because we will be having more applicants for these defibrillators.
And was seconded by Natalie. So who agrees with that?
Make a policy.
Policy.
It's for or against?
It's for.
Wasn't it? I don't understand. It was for. I mean, you can buy me a gavel now, but all right, everybody against.
No, who's for, Brian? Who's for? Right. Okay, that seems to be carried.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we need a policy put in place for that.
That's the report.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, the report, so are you gonna set a report?
Yeah, we'll draft a report. Because it's council policy, we'll take it directly then to the next available council that we can't get to.
And actions on this at this moment in time? Has anybody got any proposals on how we're actually going to action this, or we're gonna just put it to one side for a second and then review it at the next meeting? Oh, yes, fine.
Could I just ask that the council or somebody just investigates what's left in the 106 and you can get a variation to it? If there's £50,000 left and it's allocated to a green part or whatever,
Yeah,
there is a mechanism where this has come up. I agree with Dan. It's a bit tricky for a developer to ask for it, and I agree with Malcolm. They've given a massive contribution for allowing that developer to go ahead, but there is a mechanism where you can vary that agreement on agreement between both parties. Get that 10 grand, because I think a lot of that money's been sitting in that account for lots of years.
Yeah.
Could we investigate that
yeah,
as quick as possible?
that would be a good idea, wouldn't it? Would you be able to do that, Mark?
I mean, we've been very successful over the years in getting section 106, we've received hundreds of thousands
There's
of
a
pounds.
variation with Malcolm, so that the section 106 one is saying it's specific.
Yeah.
So you seek a variation, it costs me £500 legal fees, done loads of them, and there is a mechanism there worth asking.
Right.
What is sitting
Yeah,
there?
yeah, good.
I agree with Barry there. I think obviously we've not voted on this yet, but if we are inclined to say defer it, look into this further, can I ask that it does come back to us as soon as possible, because this is the second time now that we as a council have discussed it. The residents clearly are quite urgent in wanting it, and obviously everything's got to be right above board, and we need to be able to fund it appropriately. But if anything was to happen in the meantime, when residents have been asking for quite a while, wouldn't exactly feel right. Yes.
And I think we need to urgently investigate all the different options that have been brought up at this meeting and bring it up at the next meeting and try and get it resolved.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, Brian.
Sorry, when is the next meeting?
It's the 9th of December.
Can we wait to the 9th of December? That's all, that was gonna be me.
What do you want to call it, a meeting?
I mean, we can only bring it back for council members to discuss when we get the appropriate information. So it's really, it's a bit out of our hands at the minute, as Barry's explained about the variations. We'll have to go through, is it possible to do this? If we do get the agreement, I mean, I'm not an expert in getting the variations, but if it's got to go through the legal processes, as Councillor Elliott's described, I can't see that happening within a few days.
No.
I understand it's not gonna happen overnight, but
It'll be brought back as soon as we can give you some meaningful information.
that's what I was gonna ask, if we could have a special meeting at ASAP, that's all.
Oh, yeah, if it doesn't fit in, we can do it.
Within a special meeting could be arranged within like a week, couldn't it? Yeah. So Denise, yeah.
Can I just say, if we happen to look into the Blythe Heart Foundation, and yes, they will put one in and fund the upkeep of it, and we just delegate that back to, the chair himself, that could go ahead.
Well, that's up to people to agree to that in a.
I'll second that.
Okay, can we have a vote on that, please?
4.
Four. Right, okay, so everyone appears to agree on that, so it's going to be my responsibility then. Thank you very much. All right, okay, so that's going to get deferred until such times that we get the information, and if necessary, there'll be a special meeting brought forward, and you'll all be notified about that. Is everybody happy with that?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, okay, then, right. Can we move on to the next item, or is there anything else to be said about it? All right, thank you. So we're going to move on to the decision on the inclusive play area. All right, so there's quite a few people have been making inquiries about an inclusive play area. understand Brian Erskine wrote a letter about it. Basically raising the concerns of parents who wish to have special places for their children with disabilities. And I understand that that Elaine is going to help us with information towards that.
I will try. So obviously we've received a request from Councillor Erskine to consider a dedicated SEND play area within Blythe. In contrast, councillors have received that the office didn't actually receive the emails from residents, the councillors did, but we're aware that the councillors received emails suggesting it wasn't a dedicated play area that was required, but just more thoughtfulness into what we are putting into our play areas. As a town council, we do endeavour to have inclusive elements within our play areas, but the report I've written is sort of questioning how valuable the inclusive elements are within our play areas if they're not meeting the needs of the residents who require them. So what I'm suggesting or recommending within this report is that you further consider, in consultation with Northumberland County Council, as the town council is not a landowner that can give permission for a play area to be installed on land within Blythe. It's the county council that owns all the open spaces. If you are looking at creating a new play area, and discuss it further with them, and the appropriateness of a play area being implemented in one of their strategic parks, which is the likes of Ridley Park or the Beach Park, and discussing with them the feasibility of that. Whether that is the county council delivering it or the town council delivering it, we don't know yet. We have got indicative costs from play companies of providing a dedicated, inclusive play facility, but they are just what we say, indicative. We do not know if the equipment we have been provided with by these play companies meets the needs of the residents. So what we are also suggesting is that we engage with the families that have contacted the town council, engage with experts who in the community work with SEND, the schools, and establish what the needs are within the community. Also suggesting we do a review of all of our existing play areas. Whilst we have inclusive play equipment in them, I'm aware from a trip I recently took to Northern Ireland how we don't actually advertise which pieces of equipment are inclusive. And I saw in Ward Park in Bangor a signage on a play area that identified every inclusive piece of play equipment, what was intended for senior, what was intended for junior. Simple changes like that to signage, potentially adding braille to signage, just being more aware of what we could do in a review of what is inclusive about our parks. Like, how do you get from one piece of equipment to the other? Is the surface and suitable? Is the access to the park suitable? There's lots of things we can consider in doing a review, and obviously in consultation with the potential users of the park as well, to make sure we get it right. So I'm not actually suggesting that the town council commit to anything at this stage other than doing a full review of our existing parks and also discussing further with the county council what is possible and who potentially should lead it.
Was Brian, I thought you might want to bring something into.
No, that's absolutely fine, yeah, that's absolutely fine, I wanted to. I mean, it was me that put the letter in, after speaking to various families and being a father of a child who has certain needs. And yes, we do have equipment. In the last council, the members who were part of that will remember me pushing for that within actual Drive Play Park. A certain councillor said, who isn't here now, that it wasn't our responsibility, should be county. But we have responsibility to every child in this town, be inclusive. Now, whether, you know, every child deserves to be able to run, play, whether they've got a disability or not, you know what I mean? You know, enjoy the childhood. Axwell Drive Play Park has got two inclusive equipment. One is a swing. Now, if you've got a 6'6", 16-year-old wheelchair bound child and you're a single father, mother or care, how are you going to get them in there? And the other option is they go round and round on the roundabout and that's it. That's an ability. Now, most of the play parks we have in Blythe aren't inclusive if they've got one or two bits of equipment. Now, just because it's, you know, they've got them in there, they're not ideal for SEND children. Some children have sensory needs, which aren't the same as other children. They don't react the same, and they have, you know, not the ability to interact the same as other children. And sometimes, you know, these parks are a bit too lively for them. So I don't agree with the fact that the parks have the, you know, the equipment in for them. It's, you know, I wouldn't want to take my child if they were in a wheelchair to a park and they're just going round and round on a roundabout. And not just that, the button of Axwell Park isn't suitable for wheelchairs. The flooring isn't all the way through. To get from the gate to the park, you're looking matting, grass, and other, you know, obstacles were, you know, not being level. I would like to think everybody's level-headed on the same terms as me, and we need an inclusive park in this town because there is children who are wheelchair bound who aren't having the same enjoyment as other children in this town. There isn't, for my knowledge, there isn't a SEND park in Northumberland. And if today we agree putting a SEND park in Northern Blythe, we're going to be the council that leads the way for the rest of Northumberland to listen to what the needs are. And we need to be the voice of the children who can't play daily like the other children, to go down slides and jump on a swing just when they want. So I'm not going to beg you, but be reasonable. Think of the children and then that, you know, that can't have the same lifestyle as, you know, able-bodied children. So, you know, I would like to pass the motion, we push this forward.
And that's Brian, are you talking about like a park for just for SEND children?
SEND children for special education needs and disabilities with sensory and also sensory needs.
So you're talking about building a whole new park?
Because the parks we have aren't fit for purpose for children who have disabilities.
Yes, so that's, I just want to know that for clarity.
Yeah, I think I was contacted post-election and Ray Brian, he indicates in the report this is being talked about by the looks of it by Brian, who's probably well placed with a child meeting these needs for 4 years or more. So I was approached via Facebook and it was your lead, Brian. I didn't take it, I jumped on it. And basically,
we discussed that, remember?
Yes, yeah, and I basically think it should go ahead, but I think the first thing we should do, you touch on it, and sorry if I repeat it again, is I did send people to YouTube. I think Fiona, Ian's in Bullock Day.
Yeah, man,
I don't know if they have a contact in YouTube and Dave Clough. And I think the best thing to do is get like Brian, Fiona, Bullock, anybody else. Yeah, anybody else in this room first, because you might find when you talk to them and find out what they want, the best place, you might find there's something in use them that's okay, but not and get what they want, because they targeted certain types of apparatus. But the worst scenario by the looks of this is 155 grand. One of the reasons I went with the insurance thing was to release 380,000 quid to get the kids another play partner. It's one of the reasons I took the chair's decision, one of them, to overrule the voter, to get with an insurance policy to release 300 grand, so we've got plenty of money. But I think the first part should be used, as quick as possible, and that will dictate the rest, because you might not need a full park.
Can I just say on the back of that, the council was quite happily spend the best part of £250,000 on a skate park, which can only be used by a certain access to certain children who are able-bodied. £150,000 is a drop in the ocean to have inclusiveness completely in this town.
And we've got the money.
We've got, yeah, we've got, yeah.
The money that was released.
And if it's madness if we don't pave the way for the future and be the of this county.
And just bring Caitlin in, please.
First of all, I'm very glad for this to come, obviously, to council. I am going to be saying some of the things, obviously, that others have said, because absolutely, first and foremost, is we need to have parents involved in this and other local professionals and obviously the county council to have these conversations and review our parks. Elaine said most of what I would have said, to be honest. It was really comprehensive, and so is this report. It does need to include the facilities to get into the park. It does need to include proper toilet facilities for all disabled children and young adults. I don't think that the main thing is creating a brand new park. It is more changing the facilities that our existing parks have, making sure that they are all inclusive. Obviously, that consultation will come from the discussion with the parents and knowing exactly what equipment we need to use. You know, those of us that were existing, we read a new park in April, May for Newsom, and a lot of the comments that we said was making sure about inclusive equipment. And obviously, once it's been built, that equipment that we thought was inclusive isn't inclusive enough for the children with disabilities. And what really needed to happen was a full consultation with parents of SEN children, because obviously it's really disheartening to hear that when we've tried to be inclusive or thought we were, making sure that we had those pieces of equipment, that it's not available for everyone. And like Brian says, you don't, especially if you're in a wheelchair, you don't want to go to a park and just be on a roundabout. That is just tokenism. That isn't anything that is being inclusive. And as the largest town in Northumberland, we should be taking that lead on being inclusive. We most likely have the highest number of SEN children in Northumberland. Certainly the southeast corner does. So we should be taking that lead and making sure that the children of Blythe are all included, and making sure that their parents know that when they can go to a park, that they can have all their family in one park. They don't have to only take certain children. They can take the whole family. They can have a family day out, and they know that everything is there ready for them, and they don't need to worry about anything.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's exactly what Caitlin said. I would have said exactly the same. Speaking to parents, I did suggest parks, areas and things. And a lot of the parents couldn't come to the agreement of which park to use. So it is going to be a big discussion on which park you actually use for this equipment. You want to take the whole family. You might have one child that's got special needs, but they all want to be in the same area, so you can't just choose like one park, what's just has the special needs facilities in. And the safety aspect of it as well. I mentioned the swing to parents, a fenced off area, because these are big heavy things for a wheelchair. And I suggested using the radar key to get into the back of the swing, because I think the size of these wheelchair swings would actually take your legs off.
Well, I think when you install something of this caliber, all the safety equipment is installed with it, and you don't just sort of put a swing in it.
Yeah, I was just going to say some of the parents didn't agree with the fenced off area for the large swing. So the parents do need to be involved in this. It's a big thing.
Yeah, I'm going to bring in Catherine.
Yeah, I totally agree with parents and I'm getting involved with it. But I would ask the question, do we do it in all parks? Do we do it in some parks? Do we do it at Ridley Park or the beach park? Because that's the Ridley Park, there's a lot go down there, a lot go to the beach. The thing about our local parks, there's a lot of antisocial behaviour goes on. They're unscrewing the nuts and everything out of them. And I just think that would be a bit of worry for me. But I would like to see that parents are involved in talking about this. You can't just put it in one park. When you're going to have next month, you'll have somebody else come in another park. So we've got to decide where we want to put it. And also the fact of the safetiness of it. I like the idea of the radar thing. I like that idea. One at the back of the swing, I do like that. Because you can't expect an officer to go and let them in and let them out. Because you're going to end up where there will be antisocial behaviour, which there is already. So I just think, we need to involve the parents in that and just see where we're going to go with this.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this.
Just before me, that is
From what you're saying there, it says, I'm looking at and it says, there will be no crime prevention implications to consider regarding this matter, and you've just basically knocked that into touch. Maybe.
I mean, when you think about it, we're in 2025 and we're sitting here talking about play facilities for disabled children and young people. We shouldn't be, it should have been, for the last 20 years, that should have been something that we try and encourage young people to get out and get fresh air. And why shouldn't that facility be there for disabled children as well? I mean, we've just opened a new park at, it is a new park at Newsom. And that is not a suitable area for something like that. What's gone on there since that park was opened, and it's not the children. The children is one thing, but it's the parents more than anything that, don't discipline their children enough, that people are calling for it to be closed. It's only been open a few months. Cost the taxpayer quite a lot of money for that new facility, and people were asking for that facility in Newsom because it was dated, the original equipment that was there. And, they're asking to close it, for God's sake. It's beyond belief. Why should we be in that kind of situation where children are so undisciplined? Is that a park may need to be shut because parents cannot keep control of their kids. So I think, as I say, it's up to the parents, it's up to the people, it's up to the council to decide. But if you look at Ridley Park, I think maybe Ridley Park might be an ideal. There's quite a bit of land there. I know we don't own the land. Somebody inherited that many months ago. And but I think Ridley Park will be an ideal place because there are parts of Ridley Park play area now that definitely needs upgrading, especially for where the smaller children are. That's diabolical. There's green moss on stuff. It's overgrown with trees. There's no sunlight gets into where the small kids play. And I have been suggesting for the last couple of years that something needed to be done there. So maybe this might be an opportunity for it to, kill two birds with one shot.
And I agree with you because obviously there's changing facilities that are going to be required.
Yeah.
We want to build a whole new park. I would say that you're looking at new toilet facilities.
Yes.
And I think you're looking at £150,000 by the time you get the planning and everything goes through. And we've also got to get the agreement of the NCC.
I know.
Yeah. So, Ricky.
Well, we've got quite a few of them here. We'll put the bite on them.
I just wanted to ask a question because obviously I'm sitting here patiently listening to what everyone's got to say, and I'm hearing that perhaps almost like a destination facility needs to be involved. Would I be right in thinking that, rather than trying to actually be a particular park or a particular this, it ought to be a purpose-built thing, which could then protect the vulnerable children from, you say, like other children that might be disruptive and cause them issues with sensory issues. I'm thinking something along the lines of, you get these big indoor play parks, and it's full of facilities in there.
Yes,
and one that could then protect the equipment and be specifically just for saying would that be a thing, do you think, or does it specifically have to be in a plan?
We've got a parent, yeah, I mean, do you want to say anything, or if that is she allowed to?
So I will allow you to, yes. That's all right.
As someone, I've worked in SEND for 30 years, I'm also a SEND parent of a 16-year-old, 6'2", severely autistic boy. What we want is inclusion. We don't want to be segregated. We want to go to the park like everybody else. We want to access local facilities like everybody else, and we can't. My son just wants to go down a slide and he wants to bounce on a soft play. That's it. He's 16. He is a 5-6-year-old in cognition, and that's all he wants to do. And there is nowhere in the local area he can do either of those. There is no soft play. Soft play is a different area. We'll not go down that. We want a place where we can go with friends who have got neurotypical children. We want a place where I can go with Philip and say, should we go and have a coffee? You bring Rue and I'll bring Ben. We want a place where he can bring his children and we can all be together in the same place with members of the community. We don't want segregation. I think there's a whole thing around inclusion. I think there's a little separate issue that you could maybe think about looking at grant funding to get education in the schools. And I know Philip and I would happily be part of that, where if this is happening, we would happily go into schools and do workshops with kids. Sorry, I've just volunteered to show the difference of kindness, compassion, empathy. I take my son in Newcastle University as part of a teaching programme with nurses, midwives, health visitor training. And he goes in for 5 minutes at the end of my session, and the impact on that changes things moving forward for all of those professionals. What I'm saying is instead of thinking about antisocial behaviour from kids, look at the bigger picture and look at actually by putting the kids in. People show antisocial behaviour with equipment and this disability because they're scared, because they don't see it. They don't know how to act, they don't know how to react. So we may get it. That's okay. We've got thick skins. We can cope with that. Put us in the middle. Put the park somewhere where everyone can access it. And it's not just about wheelchairs. It's about, how many of you lot on a drunken night out would walk by the park and go, oh, should we go down the slide? Let's encourage that, because that's what inclusion is. A park should be for every single body, not just the disabled child in a wheelchair.
So can I just say, basically what we really need under these circumstances is consultation, because at the end of the day we could talk all night and get nowhere. There are quite a few people who still want to say something about. I think you've more or less made your point. Is anything else you would like to add? No, right. Thank you very much. There's a lot of people who want to speak at the moment. Yes, Mark. Can I let Martin come in here, please?
I mean, I think what the lady said at the bottom, and it's been, you've confirmed what some of the council have been saying as well. We've tried to cover those in the recommendations in the report, where we'll meet the parents, we'll meet carers, we'll meet anybody that's associated with kiddies going to these parks, just to get an idea, and then to take it to county council to see how that progresses, and then to come back to this committee with options of what to do next for you to make a decision. It's been mentioned that we have freed up. It's not freed up yet, but it will be shortly. Balances which the council have to make a decision on, not just this committee, but the council. But there are options to what you've been talking about there. There are charities out there. There's the Children in Need Foundation. There are, the Lottery Fund. And we would be exploring all of those as well, so that it might cost a few £100,000 for the equipment, it might cost a few £100,000 for the facilities, the toilet, shower and everything like that. But we would be trying things like Section 106 monies and anything else. So we'll exhaust it as far as we can, and I think you should be, we'd encourage everybody to leave their names so we can get in touch with you earlier. Because sometimes we do have schemes, and I would just like to clarify something that was said earlier. We did build a skate park. It did cost over 200,000. That is factually correct, and that's what our accounts show. What I would like to say is that we made use of section 106 of the county council, where over £100,000 worth of funding. And we also got some county councillors who chipped in with some high figured contributions to that as well. So it didn't cost us £100,000. It cost us perhaps akin to what we did with Collingwood Green. So it was a lot of money, but we'd already secured funding to do that. We would try to do the same again.
Okay, now, I know how committed Brian is to this. I'm okay to bring Brian and I'll bring Denison. I know you two.
You want to people talk, so I'm just gonna make it, I'm gonna make a move,
It's just on a summer.
You're gonna make a motion, but yeah.
Also in this report, you know, as the mention of the soft pole that I've been asking for since the very first environmental committee on the Kitty Brewster Park. It does have a disabled swing and it has the flat bed trampoline, you know, the low level trampoline in it. But as Brian mentioned about one of his parks earlier, the ground is uneven and it's just got the grass mats, but the grass mats have sunk back down into that park. It's just a slippery bed and no child can use that park come sort of the end of October right through to February, March, because it is just a mud bath.
So is there any kind of maintenance we can put on that?
While I'm asking, can we have soft pole? That's what I've been asking for since the very first environmental committee.
Right, can you take that?
I've seen this report. So when you do your recommendations and you have a look at the costs of all of this, then can you also please come back on the costs of that as well?
I know we've got Caitlin and Dan who want to bring in something, and then I want to bring in Brian, but Brian wants to put forward a motion. Can you just please try to keep your points as short as possible, please?
Thank you for letting me come back in. It was purely on I hadn't said it previously, that I do agree with the location, say like we look at Ridley Park to begin with the county council, because there is space around Ridley Park that could be extended, and it's a perfect location for travelling. Like you can get buses to it, and there is a car park, there is space for people to be able to get in, there's proper paths. So that would be an ideal location to begin with if the county council and obviously parents are
Well, that would be part of the consultation.
That's part of the consultation. Otherwise we would need to look at something whereas centrally located and on bus routes and easily accessible.
Right, take on board that, yeah.
Thank you.
And Dan?
Yeah, mine's just the talk about the most important part of this, Chair, which I think is, as you said, the consultation. And as you summarised it at the beginning, is that we'll do include, who in my opinion, the professionals, because it's the residents who know this better than anybody, and that we make sure we totally engage with them in all aspects on the social media, and make sure they come to any meeting that we set up. Because I personally, and I don't know about other members, but I'm a bit ignorant on knowing the equipment and anything to do with SEND personally. So I will welcome any consultation that really helps us as members get the right thing for everybody who's asked for this, and thank you for bringing it to the table, because it is something that we should have looked at as a town council many years ago, as Deirdre said, to be honest. But yeah, as long as we get the consultation right, and bring, as I say, the professionals who know this better than any of us, because again, I think we're a bit ignorant as to understanding the needs of these children.
I think we can learn a lot as well, you know what I mean, from the lady's experience as well, so yeah.
That was it, Chair, just to get that point across.
Adrian's going to bring it in, and can you take your point
Just a quick one, just about Ridley Avenue, Ridley Park. I mean, they've got a roundabout there which is for wheelchairs, and it's always breaking down. It gets like stuff inside, and it gets gritty, and they can't turn it. They're having to take it off and change it all the time. So a lot of thought's going to have to go into what we get before we buy it, because there's a lot of equipment. If it's not got the right surface in the tape, it's not going to work.
Right, okay, then thank you very much for your input. Right, Brian, how would you like to put your motion
I'd
for?
like to put a motion that we commit to this park with the going for consultation and, get expert, advice from the parents, and not just the parents, children. Have input from the children, yes. And I would like to put that motion forward.
To second the recommendation.
So who agrees with this motion?
Can I have the name vote on this, please?
Well, can I just say everybody? And then that's it, done.
Can I seek clarity though on whether we're actually going to be reviewing our existing parks as well? Because that was not included in the motion.
Okay, then. Well, can I put that motion to?
Yes, I'll agree with that one, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Is that an amendment to the motion?
Yes.
Yeah, everybody come have a vote on that, please.
Yes.
What was that?
Right, okay, so everybody agrees with that as well.
Okay,
Well, the minutes, as per the
As per the recommendation.
Yeah, the motion just repeats the recommendation.
Everything as per the recommendation.
Yes.
So we need
Yeah,
to
is
take
that
the
correct? So I want to confirm that everything as per the recommendation, just to confirm.
Can I just ask you, will you take part in this consultation, because you've got like more knowledge than.
Oh, yeah, I will do. I would like,
Well, we'll have a look, yeah.
thank you very much in the part of it. These two parents here, I want you to be a big part of it, if that's
Okay,
okay.
I would like to say sort of like, because you're a councillor, like the person who's like helping us, guide us.
Yeah.
All right.
I would want them, like,
Oh, yeah, definitely, 100%.
definitely most definitely, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you for your support and help.
Yeah, that's fine.
Before we finish, can I just say also, before we finish, can I just say a big thank you also to a person that isn't a part of the council, but has been a big help with me this. Mark Foster, who did run an election for Cooper Ward, he's been a big help to help me with this, been a big part of this. But unfortunately, he's not a councillor, but I would like to just say thank you to Mark because of his support and his input into this. So thank you, Mark.
Thank you too, Mark. Thank you very much. Right, so, we've got the date of the next meeting is going to be 9th of December. But we have already discussed this and there will be an emergency meeting brought forward, provided we get the right information and time. And you will be notified by council about that, by the council officers. Right, so I think that brings this meeting to an end. We would like to take the names and addresses of all those people who wish to attend the consultation at the end of this, and we'll have a break. Okay, everybody happy with that?